Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Limitless, another episode brought to you by Action Factory by me, Dion Groenewald. And here we talk about limitless. What is it that, well, how do we put it nicely? Separates the average from the exceptional. How do we go from where we are in life to a level that is just absolutely amazing? And that's what these episodes are all about. That's what I talk about. It's my passion, it's my hobby, it's my life. It's what I absolutely enjoy. So every Monday evening, wherever you're seeing this at the moment, if you're seeing this on YouTube, you can go to our live stream section. Every Monday we stream live. If you're watching this on Facebook, you'll see every Monday on the Action Factory Global Facebook page, we stream live and on my LinkedIn profile. So wherever you're watching this from, I would love it. Please be so kind and just say hello. So, the reason I'm asking for you to say hello is when you say hello, I know that you are seeing everything and that you are aware. So, is there, and that it's working. So, anybody on here, if you could say hello, it'll be an absolute blessing. Just so I know that I am streaming and that you guys can see me. So I hope you're going to enjoy this. I'm talking about an interesting topic tonight. Tonight I'm talking about, how do we put this nicely? The ability some people have not to be able to say no. So it's a huge amount of people that I know that I talk to, especially the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely amazing how many people I talk to, and they all tell me the same story. And they say to me, Dion, I cannot say no. I don't know how to say no. If someone asks me something, the answer is always yes. And people really complain about that, or they find it very difficult because it's exhausting. If you say yes to, I almost want to say everything or everyone, then it becomes a real problem. How do you keep your energies high? How do you maintain momentum in life if you keep saying yes to everything? So tonight we're talking about the power of saying no, and specifically the reason I'm talking about this topic. I'm in the coaching industry. I teach coaches and I talk to a lot of coaches. Most people that become coaches are empaths. So tonight's topic is the empathetic no, how to preserve your energy and become a better you. So the reason I'm talking about this, empaths cannot say no. If you ask them a favor, they going to say yes. And we've seen it in our business. I sometimes giggle. My partner in the business, a lot of people will ask questions. I'm struggling with this. She's a marketing expert. I'm struggling with this. Or I struggle with that. Can you help me? And the answer is always yes. So I do it as well. Someone says, Dion, I can't afford your course. Can you give me a discount? My answer is always yes. And so I know what I'm talking about because I don't want to say victim, but I'm as guilty to being a, a yes, I'm not going to say yes man. I'm as guilty as being an empath than the people that I surround myself with. And we tend to say yes to anything and everything. So for those that are not in this industry, even if you're not an empath, I mean, how many times have someone asked you, a friend, yeah, my friend, my buddy, please, I need a huge favor. I'm moving on Saturday. Can you please come and help me? And how many times have you kind of heard two voices? On the inside of you, there's a voice that's absolutely screaming and saying, no, I can't. I'm exhausted. I just want to rest. I absolutely need rest. My arms are tired. My mind is tired. My body is exhausted. All I need is rest. Please, please, please don't ask me. You can hear that internal dialogue going on inside of you. And yet, what you hear coming out of your mouth is, of course, I'll be happy to. That's the worst part of it. But I'm giggling a little bit about it. We can't just say yes. We have to add. It'll be my pleasure. I'll be happy to. It'll be so nice. Why do we do this? For many of us, it's because we feel what others feel. So the moment someone asks you something, that empath in you experiences their struggle. And That's the conflict we have. We want to make their weight lighter. We want to make their struggle easier. And we believe for some reason that if we say yes, it is going to make the world a better place. But tonight I'm going to unpack this a little bit. I want to give you guys a couple of different approaches to this, but I'm also going to give you a way how to, I almost want to say, not necessarily say no, but how to control yourself a little bit more. So let's just go through the session and see where we're going to come out with. So let's understand the core essence of this. So many people struggle to say no. And the main reason behind it is it creates some form of internal conflict. We feel that if we say no, we are very often disappointing someone else or making life more difficult for them. So that creates this internal conflict that is. And we do have an internal true desire to want to be helpful. So now someone asks us something, and this internal me that wants to be helpful, that fears the conflict, that doesn't want to disappoint other people, we say yes. And if you're an empath, well, let's take that and magnify it. Let's put it on steroids. Let's just make it so much larger. And the stronger of an empath you are, the stronger it's going to become. So it's a strange concept. It's sometimes, originally when I became aware of this, I somehow thought it was me trying to sympathize with someone else. But I want you to understand a little bit of a secret. You're not sympathizing with them. What we are trying to do is we're trying to absorb the pain. We're trying to carry it on our shoulders. We think that if we say yes, we're taking something off their shoulders. We're making life lighter for them. And we somehow think that if we say no, it is almost like a direct attack on them. So the disappointment they're going to experience if we say no, it's almost as if we feel that we are the ones that's going to experience that disappointment. So we've said no in the past. We felt that internal conflict. We felt that internal disappointment. And to try and prevent that, we are now prepared to absorb whatever they're carrying, and we say yes, and we find ourselves, even though we are absolutely exhausted, we find ourselves in that situation where the mouth says, yes, it'll be my pleasure. No problem. Oh, let's do this. So what, and I know if you're one of those guys, or people you've spoken to, either friends or family or some wise person about this, and they always give the same advice or response, and it's always just learn to say no. Set boundaries, Dion. Set boundaries. Learn to say no. So I'm going to make a statement tonight. And please, if you've given that advice to someone else, forgive me for this. That's the worst advice you can give someone that constantly says yes. If you tell someone that constantly says yes, just learn to say no, set boundaries. Number one, they're not going to do it. Number two, you are actually creating more internal conflict for them. So that advice, I know it's well intentioned. I get it. But it's for a deep empath, it's actually more damaging than what it's doing good. Because for an empath, forcing yourself, please, ladies and gentlemen, hear my heart. For an empath, forcing yourself to say no without understanding, let's call it the underlying mechanics, feels to you as if you are suppressing your own nature. It's it's literally like you're trying to tell a bird it shouldn't be flying. It's in our nature to want to be sympathetic. It's in our nature to be subjective. It's in our nature to want to make the weight for other people's lighter. It's in our nature to want to help. It's in our nature to want to lessen the burden of others. So it's in our nature to say yes. To tell an empath to say no, it's suppressing the instinctive, natural, responses, their nature. And I'm going to say this again. It's like telling a bird not to fly. It is creating a very strong internal conflict that is going to take the empath into a state where they now start experiencing a high level of living unauthentically. It's an inauthentic state that they'll enter into. And that state is going to create more conflict than what it is going to create good. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're talking to someone and they tell you, I'm struggling to say no, if your response is just learn to say no, do yourselves a favor and just for a moment say, yes, I understand your struggle. That's all you have to say. So, what are the actual consequences? Let's just talk about it. Let's understand why the suppressing is a bit of a challenge. Or why the saying yes to everything is. If I constantly say yes, so people ask me something, internally I'm saying no, I don't have the energy, no, it's not aligned with who I am, no, it's crossing a little bit of my personal boundaries or values, and everything in me wants to say no, but I say yes. What is happening on the inside of me is I'm saying yes, but I mean no. So I'm building an internal resentment towards self. Now, we live in an era at the moment where one of the biggest problems, if you talk to corporates, one of the biggest problems they have are employees and people on the verge of burnout. Saying yes when you mean no is one of the reasons you are experiencing a level of burnout because you are creating an internal resentment, and that internal resentment is burning energy. And ladies and gentlemen, your energy is a finite source, it's not infinite. There's a limitation to how much internal capacity and energy you have. So at some stage, if you're constantly saying yes and you actually want to say no and you mean no, you are going to get to a level of absolute exhaustion because when you force yourself into a scenario, and let's say you go and you rake up courage and someone asks you something and internally you're going no and you want to say yes, but you decide I'm going to follow the other guy's advice, I'm going to put on boundaries, I'm going to learn to say no, and you just say no. What's happening is firstly it's going to feel extremely unnatural. So please, if you felt that and you know what I'm talking about, say, yes, that felt unnatural. Just in the comments, put there, yes, that felt unnatural. Just so I know I'm not alone in this on this planet because I've forced myself to say no and it felt unauthentic. It felt very, very unnatural. The next thing that happened is I felt extremely guilty. I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't think I'm the only one. I think there's a lot of people with this struggle. That's the reason we constantly say yes. Because number one, it felt unnatural. Number two, man, I suffered from guilt after I did it. It was a really horrendous feeling. Um, Number three, it's almost as if I felt a little bit anxious. I don't know if anybody else felt the anxiety build up because of it, but I did. And I want you to hear that this is a challenge I've had. I'm going to tell you guys how I overcame it and what I did later on tonight. Now, but I'm just going through the problems and I'm remembering a lot of the experience I had. One absolutely unnatural. This is not me. I'm out of my comfort zone. This is just feeling wrong. I'm feeling guilty about this. I have a little bit of anxiety. But here's the interesting thing that also happened. For the rest of the day and sometimes even the next day, that conversation replayed in my brain. Just it runs again, it runs again, it runs again, it runs again. It just replays and replays and replays and replays. And the more it replays, the worse I feel. So I know, sorry, I know there's a few of you that's gone through exactly the same. I just burped by accident. My humblest apologies. It's human, it's natural. So please forgive me for that. All right. So I'm laughing about that. All right. So number one, I said it feels unnatural. I feel guilty, even with a little bit of anxiety. But the fourth one, and that's the one that really got to me, is the replay of the conversation. So here's a statement I want to make about it. You have not solved the problem by saying no. What you've done is you've traded one form of suffering, the potential of burnout, if you want, with just another form of suffering, which is the guilt feeling, which is that unnatural, that voice running in your head. You've literally, that's all you've done. You've just traded one pain for another pain. That's all you've done. You've not solved the problem. So here's the key nugget I need you guys to grasp. If you're an empath, this is what we need to understand. The goal isn't to stop being an empath, because for me to say no, I'm not going to help you, means I have to stop being an empath. And I'm going to make this statement, and please, I need you guys to grasp this. Your empathy is not a weakness. It's a superpower. It's a phenomenal gift you were given. The fact that you're an empath is a superpower. It's not a weakness. It's a superpower. It's an amazing gift you've been given. And by forcing yourself to say no, you're suppressing that amazing gift you've been given. The challenge here is not to suppress the empath in you and learn to say no. The goal here is to learn to wield that power without it draining you. The gift is to learn to wield your empath power without it draining you. So how do we do that? Also, suppressing your empathy to say no, what we've now know, is a short-term fix, and it is going to lead to a long-term problem or longer-term damage. So I'm going to give you a metaphor just to understand it. So imagine you've got a tap that is leaking, and you decide you're going to phone a specialist to fix the tap, a plumber or a handyman or a builder, whatever. And they arrive, and all they do is they take a bucket and they put it under the dripping tap. Have they fixed the problem? No, they haven't. All they've done is they've temporarily resolved the problem it's causing or the result of it, but all they've done is they've postponed it, and later on the bucket is going to overflow and you're going to have a bigger problem than what you had in the first place. So it's not a solution just to put a bucket under the leak. Not the best metaphor, but it kind of really does sum it up. When I force myself as an empath just to say no, I am merely putting a leak under the challenge or a bucket under the challenge I'm having. I'm not fixing the leak. So how do we resolve it? What do we do? Well, there's two things. The one is, and I have spoken about this in my class, and I often talk about this. It's called the meta state. The simplest description for a meta state is it is a state about states. It is a higher state. It is, if I'm in a happy state, my meta state is a state above states. It's a higher state, but it's an aware state. So a meta state can observe me and it can realize I am in a happy state. That's a meta state. That's the power of a meta state. It's the ability to observe self and observe our own feelings, emotions, reactions, responses, and behavior from a distance. So it's let me give you a metaphor. It's being a lighthouse and there's a storm going on. The lighthouse can observe the storm, but it is slightly protected or removed from the storm. It's not involved in the storm. It's aware that the storm is happening, but it's light shining on it. There's an awareness from it. I'm not in the storm, I'm observing the storm. So for me to enter a meta state is the ability to Know that I am experiencing something and I can observe it from a distance. So, why is this important? Well, we need to understand something. I need to get to a point where I can operate in both these states. So, my empath operates in what's called the subjective self. That's me fully immersed in this experience. And this, for most empaths, is your default state. This is your habitual state. This is a state, I want to use the term you operate in very naturally and almost automatically. This is your home state. This is where everything connects from for you. Now, your empath state, if you understand really what it goes through, your subjective state, it feels everything. So if you're in a conversation, if you are merely observing things, the empath state or the subjective state connects, it senses, it absorbs. It's very aware of all the emotions and feelings, the tonalities. It picks up very fine clues around it. It's very instinctive as well. Some people have linked it to a very strong sixth sense, but the empath state connects. So when you're in a conversation with someone, you're not just intellectually aware of the conversation. It's as if you sense it, you absorb that conversation, you immerse yourself. There's a mental transfer as if I'm going into this conversation. So it's quite honestly, it's beautiful and it's powerful. Empaths make the best coaches in this world and NLP practitioners and therapists because an empath can listen to the conversation, absorb it, feel it, sense it, experience it, feel everything about it naturally, instinctively, and see the dimensions of what's going on. That's the beauty of the empath state. So please don't suppress it. It's a gift. I mean, think about it quickly. What is the opposite of that? Is not having any empathy, not being able to connect at any level with, not sensing, not absorbing, not feeling, not having that awareness. I don't want to live in a world like that. So for me, my empath state, that subjective self that can immerse itself into the experience of my client, that's a beautiful and a powerful state. So don't suppress it. However, what we can do is learn to add to that the objective state, the meta state, the observer state. It's the part of me that can see what's going on without the emotional charge. It's like a fly on a wall. It is the part of me that can ask questions whilst things are happening. And the best question it can ask is, what is actually happening here? I'm going to say that again. What is actually happening here? So, the empath of me can be immersed in this experience. The objective self, the hovering, can ask, what's really happening here? Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're an empath, if someone says something that could possibly be interpreted as some form of criticism, we take it so personal. But the objective, the observer state, what's actually happening here, looks at it from a slightly different perspective. The observer state can also ask, what are my true capabilities right now? What is my most logic path forward? What is my best response or reaction in this situation? That's what the observer state can ask. So the empath is deeply immersed. The observer state is looking from it at a distance. The story I usually tell is if I coach someone and I go as the subjective self, the empath, I go into the forest with him. And it's a dark forest, and the trees are tall. It's blocking out the sun, and I go with them, holding their hand, but I'm as lost as they are because I can't see north, south. I've got no direction. But with me, I have the observer state, and that's like a hovering craft. Um, that's hovering a drone just above the top of the trees. And the drone has got a camera and can see where the path is going in the forest. It can see potential risks, stumbling blocks, dangers, and it can send me a signal and say, no, no, hold on, don't turn left here, take at the fork, go right, because if you go left, you're going to go down a cliff and there's some negative things. There's a bear that wants to bite your head off. So the drone has got an objective point of view, and the drone can ask what's actually happening here. What alternatives are there? What's my logic path? What capabilities do I have right now? What reactions or responses or behaviors can I apply in the situation? That's what the drone state, the objective self, the observer can constantly alter that. So if I really want to be a phenomenal human being, quite honestly, I want to be able to operate in both those states at the same time. So the goal here is not to kill the empath. It's not to suppress the empath and become unemotional, even cold, or an objective robot, because I don't want to be the drone either. I'm not a machine, and I can't only be in that state because there's no emotion, there's no feeling here, there's no real life here. It's an observation state. I want both. I want this one that's keeping me alive, that's flowing through my veins, that's created me who I am. And I want to be this one over here that is observing and giving instructions. So the true power isn't about choosing between should I be empath or should I be objective. It's about learning to hold both those states in position, in parallel movement to each other simultaneously. It is the ability to feel someone's need through the empath, yet seeing your own limitations from the objective, feeling the need, realizing, noticing what you're capable of, what's actually happening here, what are my true capabilities right now. I mentioned this earlier because the awareness state can then sometimes say, you know what, your limitations, your empath wants to say yes, but your limitations are saying can't, can't. That's step one. I'm not saying you're saying no yet. That's step one. It's the most important tool. So achieving that state of awareness, if you want to call it that, is probably your most important, not probably, it is your most important tool. So you cannot manage, and here's what you need to understand, you cannot manage what you're not aware of. So I cannot manage my empath state without being aware of it. I need this state to teach this one, to manage this one. Now, this isn't a trick. To get to that state, to get to that high level meta state, to get that awareness state, that objective state, there's no gimmick to it. There's no fanciness around it. Everybody's capable of doing it. But to master it, you need to practice it. So, very simply, start doing what I call the mental push ups. It's a practice, a daily mindfulness, practicing becoming aware of your thoughts and your feelings without getting carried away by them. Create a mental space where you sometimes have the ability to access your meta self, your objective self. So, how do we do that? I started literally and I wrote meta state on sticky notes and I would stick them on my computer screen. I would stick them on the toilet paper in the bathroom. I would stick them in the wall next to the mirror. I stuck them in different places around the house. So every time I would see it, I would pull it off and I would find another spot to go put that little post-it note. So I kept reminding myself through the day, meta state. Every time I saw that paper and I went meta state, I went, all right, what am I feeling now? What's my emotional state I'm in? What am I experiencing around me? What led to this? How am I responding? How are other people responding around me? What's the effect it's having? How am I interacting with others? How are people perceiving me? How am I perceiving myself? I started going through the mental push-ups. I started asking myself a huge amount of questions to understand what am I experiencing at the moment. And if I can do that a few times throughout the day, very quickly this becomes a default habit. This becomes automatic. Every time I started experiencing a little bit of an extreme emotion, be it happy, be it sad, be it angry, be it joyful, whatever it was, the meta state started to kick in and it started getting objective. Looking down, okay, hold on a second, what's happening here? What's the conditions? What are you capable of? What are your restrictions? How are you interacting? What are you doing? What alternatives are there? What other directions are there? So all of that started happening at the same time. And very quickly, you learn to be able to do that in a split millisecond. It's like, boom, you're there. And you've run all those questions have gone through you. So that awareness state teaches wisdom to the subjective state. Because it is in those moments when we presented caught with a difficult decision to make. It's almost as if you learn to just zoom out, whoop, float up to the ceiling, look down, observe, neutral, and notice what you notice, see what you see, hear what you hear. And it's almost as if from that position, you are now giving advice to someone else. It's me up there, but that version of me can advise this version of me. This version of me, the meta state, can advise this version of me. And that's a powerful gift you can give yourself. So the last thing that I also used to do is when I experienced that, I would sit down and I would write down answers. I would ask myself 4 questions. I would always write down the answers to these 4 questions. So here are the 4 questions that I used to ask myself. Number one, and I'm going to read this. I can't remember them all. I made a note and I would read it every now and then I would answer those questions. What were the objective facts of the situation? So, what are objective facts? So, objective facts, as an example, I was asked by my friend Michael to help him move his furniture. Objective facts. That's all. On Friday or on Saturday morning. So just objective facts. Answer to question number two, or the question number two that I also would need to answer. What, when I was asked, what was my initial feeling? What did I feel? Was it immediately, was it guilt? Was it a sense of pressure? Was it exhaustion? Was it anxiety? What was I feeling? Me, myself, I. What was I feeling in that moment and in that conversation? Question number three that I would ask myself: what was the other person likely feeling? What did I imagine? What does my mind say? What was that person experiencing? What were they feeling? And very often it's maybe they were feeling under pressure, stressed that they weren't going to finish the task in time. Maybe there was a bit of hope that I am going to help them, or there was a sense of urgency that they couldn't do it on their own. They had to move furniture and if they didn't do it in time, then this could happen. So there was this urgency around it. So I would write that down. So what am I doing? I'm training my brain to go up, go meta state, and look down from it and become a little bit more objective. So, what were the objective facts in the situation? What was I feeling? What was the other person probably feeling? And the fourth question I would ask is, what would have been the most honest? I want you to hear this because this is where the mastery comes in. What would have been the most honest and sustainable response? Empaths, please hear my statement here. What would have been the most honest and the most sustainable response for everyone involved? Now, when people say, learn to say no, build boundaries, that's a selfish response. The empath cannot be selfish. They need to take the other person into consideration. That's why this question is a critical one. What would have been the most honest and most sustainable response for everyone involved? What am I doing here? I'm training my brain to think differently. I'm training my brain to go into meta state and become a little bit more objective, to not be fully subjective in my reactions. I'm teaching my brain to go zoom out, observe, come up with an alternative. And the more I do it, the more I master it. So again, what would have been the most honest, and sustainable response for everyone involved? Does it make sense? So let's before we move on, let's take a practical. So the example I've been using was someone wants you to move, help you move, and I said furniture. So let's put it up a notch. Someone's moving house, or they're moving from one flat to another, or apartment to another apartment, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of furniture. They don't have the money to hire a moving truck. They either have a bucky, or maybe you've got a bucky, and they say, please, please, please come do me a favor, please come help me move over the weekend. And the moment they say it, your first internal response is, I'm exhausted, I'm drained, I'm drained, I'm drained, I'm drained, I'm exhausted. All I want to do this weekend is rest. Now, in the past, you would have said, yeah, sure, with pleasure, no problem. What time do you want me to be there? Should I go to hire a trailer for my bucky, and I'll pick up some labor on the way, and that we can. That's the typical empath response. This time around, no, no, no. Here's how I want you guys to start. Validate with empathy. So, number one, this is the steps you're going to start practicing. Validate with empathy. Step one. I'm giving you a couple of magic steps here. Wow. So validate. Moving is so stressful. So here's what the empath experienced. Person asks you to move, and you know that's high energy, it's stressful, it's known as one of the biggest fears or stresses that the average person experiences moving house. It's very stressful. So if you're an empath, you're very much aware of that. So the moment someone asks you to come and help, you want to help because you understand that stress. So here's what you can start doing. So number one is go objective and write down. Number two is learn how to say the empathetic no. So number one is validate with empathy. Wow, moving is stressful. Or, oh my goodness, it's that time. It's one day, you got so much to move. That must be very stressful. Validate it. Number two, be honest. I can hear you need extra hands. So I'm being honest. Stressful, I can hear you need extra. Let's take another example. Someone says, I've got a deadline, a task at work. I've got a project to hand in, and it's got to be in on Friday. It's Wednesday morning. I'm not going to finish. Please, can you help me with this project? Wow, that's a lot of pressure having to finish that project on Friday. That must put quite a bit of pressure on you because you want to keep your boss satisfied, your manager satisfied. I know how important your job is to you. And here's the last part I want to do. I know I really appreciate you thinking of me. Your friend asks you to move. I really appreciate you thinking of me. Why do we want to do that? I need to learn to honor the person I'm communicating with that asked me. I need to learn to honor their reality. So, number one is I validate. I know you're moving, or I know you've got this task to do. It's placing a lot of pressure on you. It's time bound, it's stressful. I can hear you need help with this. I grasp your situation. I understand. I'm validating what they're going through. And then I want to say, well, thank you. I mean, really amazing that you thought of me. Really, it's such a privilege that you thought of me. What am I doing? I'm not negating what they're going through. I'm not diminishing what they're going through. I'm validating it. I'm recognizing it. I'm giving a thumbs up. I'm seeing you. The empath in me loves that. I'm seeing you. I'm recognizing what you're going through. I realize it, and I'm very much aware of it. I get you. You guys with me? Honor their reality. Point number two that I need to do is I need to honor my reality. So, how can I respond? Can you help me move on Saturday? Must be stressful for you. I know the urgency behind it. I know you need the extra hands. I'm really, really appreciative that you're thinking of me. Thank you so much for thinking of me. But I've checked my own energy levels and I honestly don't have the capacity to help you this weekend. I'm completely, completely exhausted and I really do need to recharge. Honor your own reality. An empath can be honest. Here's your answer. I'm giving you the answer. I've checked my own energy levels, literally like a battery. I've checked my own energy levels, and I honestly don't have the capacity to help you tomorrow, this weekend. That task, I've checked my own energy levels and my schedule. I honestly don't have the capacity nor the time to help you this week. This week. I'm not talking about next week. Next week, my schedule or my energy levels could be different. I'm in the present. So right now, I cannot help you. I need to honor my reality. I'm exhausted. I need to recharge. Or I'm overbooked. I need to catch up on my own work. Whatever. Honor your own reality. That's step two. Here's a number three. Here's a number three. Offer a solution. So number two, validate the reality. Number number one, sorry, validate, honor their reality, honor your reality. All right. So that's your situation. This is my situation, but here's a middle path. And this is the beauty. Um, I can't help you move on Saturday. I'm exhausted. But while I can't help you move or lift boxes or do things like that, I tell you what I will do is I'll go get two pizzas and I'll come and drop it off for you guys on Saturday. So I'll do something that's a lighter task, a smaller task, but I'm not fully committing to your outcome because that's what we do as empaths. I'm committing you to help you to such a level that your outcome is going to be resolved. Where if I now go and I offer a lesser down solution of assistance, so I'm helping you, but I'm not taking accountability for the full resolution of your outcome. So if it's a work task, um, I'm exhausted this week and my time, I'm honoring your stress, I'm honoring my reality about my calendar. But what I can do is I can, I'll, when I go out for lunch tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll pick up lunch for you and you can eat in your office. I'll help you with that. I'll help you save a little bit of time. Um, or I'll give you my AI to complete your project for you. Something to that effect. So, uh, what am I doing through this? I am validating the other person's feeling. I am honoring my own reality, and it's giving me a platform to be honest and compassionate at the same time. So I can give an honest and a compassionate response merged into one. So what does this do? It's all about learning to live authentically. So for me to be able to live authentically, I need to be able to validate others, experience them, but I also need to ensure that my battery stays full. And the easiest way for me to move from where I am now is to learn to master the objective state. Let the objective state guide, advise the subjective. When I enter into conversation, is to validate, minimize. Very simple concept. Validate their reality, validate my reality, and minimize. Offer a simple, easy, honest, and compassionate solution that is not draining me. What this is going to do, it's going to teach you how to not necessarily say no, but how to live a little bit more authentically. Because if you're an empath and you are not managing your time a little bit, you're not mastering your ability to minimize the impact it's going to have on you, you're going to burn out, you're going to be exhausted, you're going to find a lot of challenges. This is, I almost want to say, the best kind of a middle ground that I have found. Now, what's the benefits of this? Well, number one, here's what's interesting. You're going to notice that a lot of relationships with those people are going to become stronger because those relationships are now built on dual honesty. You asking me something from a platform of honesty, I'm giving you an honest answer. I'm not giving you an answer based on obligation or I feel I'm forced to. So the relationship is now built on a foundation of honesty, not on a foundation of obligation. Obligation creates resistance, burnout, and exhaustion. Honesty gives us a proper foundation and we can build on that. Number two, I'm going to start becoming more, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative, more resilient. And my ability to navigate through emotional situations without either destroying myself or destroying the other person will become better. I'll be more artful and skillful in navigating conversations and emotional situations. Because an empath, very often, either I'm destroying myself or I'm destroying the other person. That's like the way I see it. That's we polarize with it. Where this mechanism where validate, minimize allows me to navigate it a little bit and I'm not destroying the relationship. And here's the third thing that's going to be interesting. The moment you start doing that, notice from here how your self-respect is also going to increase. How you're going to start feeling an increase in self-worth because you are finally treating your own needs as valid as well. Because that's what we empaths do. We give away all of our energy because we somehow believe my needs are not as important. But if I learn, validate, minimize, I am going to actually have an increase in self-respect, an increase in my own personal value, and I'm going to feel fantastic that I am actually treating myself with the respect I deserve. So it's not about becoming less of an empath. It's about developing this aware state. It's it's not that I'm becoming less of an empath. It's I'm becoming a more effective. I'm becoming a more efficient empath. I'll learn how to manage, and I said this earlier, my empathy is a power and a gift. I learn how to direct it, how to focus it, how to harness it, and how to be able to bring healing to others without having to damage myself. I will become a better, more powerful, authentic version of me. So I do believe empaths, if you've listened to this, and you found something in here that you're going to try and you're going to do it and it's going to work, teach other empaths to do the same. So our challenge is not to learn to say no. Forget about that. Our challenge is to firstly learn to become more aware, to take time and face choices, to learn to zoom out, to figure out what is the most honest and suitable response for everyone right now. And that will take me on a path of becoming a better version of me. That will take me on a path to become limitless because that's where we are and that's what we're talking about. I really trust and hope that you guys got something out of this tonight. If you are on at the moment and you did get something out of this, I would be very honored if you could just say, I got something tonight. On the platform you're listening, just give me a very, very brief, I got something. So I see there's quite a few comments. I'm learning to understand this fancy software. Um, And yeah, I see some of the guys saying we're making progress, very helpful, goal and becoming more empathetic. All right, well done to others. Excellent. I'm grateful you guys got something out of it. To me, I had to learn to go through this process, learn the steps, and I think the golden nugget for me personally was not to reject the empath in me, but to learn to respect it and harness its power and use it better so that everybody in my situation and in my circumstances or my circle benefits from the magnificent power of the empath in me. That person I have been born to be, that I cannot argue away and never ever want to wish away. I hope you guys have a beautiful evening. I've hit it 6 minutes before, or 7 minutes before. We not that bad on time. I'm quite impressed with myself. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys next Monday, 7 o'clock, right here on this platform. Be blessed, everybody. Bye bye.